Bum, bum, bum. 5.
Got to get rid of my polo. Save that for afterwards.
Because you know spares. Second day of racing in the Presidential Cycling Tour of Turkey, the 61st edition of this venerable international event up and down the western coast of Turkey, and a second day of action on the Aegean Sea. This time we're heading to Marmaris in beautiful conditions, 25 degrees Celsius. No humidity worth the mention, and not a whole lot of wind either, just enough to lift a Turkish flag or two along the way. Perfect and benign racing conditions for the riders on a day that's anticipated to be one for the sprinters. We'll see how it plays out. That's what they faced in yesterday's first stage, of course. This one will be familiar to fans of racing, fans of the Presidential Cycling Tour of Turkey over the years. The vast sprawl of Turkey, and this is the sliver that we're going to take in today's stage. Up and down, plenty of challenges to face from Aydin as they make their way through the flatlands and into the grippy hills that will offer a potential for an attack or two. We've got a Treasures of Türkiye intermediate sprint along the way. We also have sprint for the points classification, and indeed for bonus seconds as well, and a climb, single third category climb along the way as well. Grippy affair, plenty of uncategorized climbs as well that could prove challenging for the sprinters on what is anticipated to be a day for the sprinters. As I say, traditionally that's how it's played out, but not before a challenge or two. So you see that difficult, or at least technical descent, not particularly difficult, but certainly technical. We'll take them down to the intermediate sprint for bonus seconds, and then another couple of lumps and bumps along the way before we make our way down to the beautiful seaside port of Marmaris, which has played host to racing in Presidential Tour of Turkey for many a long year at this point. Traditional costume on view for the spectators and indeed for the bike riders as we see the jersey classification holders presented to the crowd. All riders finishing yesterday and reporting for duty again today. 157 riders involved with Michal Pomorski, the breakaway hero yesterday, leading both the King of the Mountains and indeed the Treasures of Türkiye classification. And he presenting at the front today in the early stages, along with the overall race leader, which is of course the stage 1 winner, Tom Krabbe. All smiles as the flag came in after 10 kilometers of the neutralized section, and the riders sent under their way with 153 kilometers in front, and there was quite an investment for the early break. The ATT squad, naturally enough, eager to get involved in the early skirmishing. A busy start to the day. Tartaletto Isorex also keen. Istanbul team involved in yesterday's attack. Imogen and the usual suspects trying to assemble at the front.
Yeah, I think it was a great effort from some of the local Turkish teams, trying to get riders up the road and give them a bit of sponsorship time on the viewing as well. So we had a rider from Tartaletto Isorex, but it wasn't to be for that breakaway.
Took a while, and as we arrive at the first sprint of the day, it is the Treasures of Türkiye intermediate sprint, and the familiar green jersey, well now it's a familiar red jersey indeed, of the Michal Pomorski, leader of the King of the Mountains classification, second in line across the line there, behind Mustafa Taraksi from the Konya Büyük Şehir squad, managing to take top points.
And we eventually got a breakaway of 9 riders. So these are 3 riders from the Konya BB team. And here we have Michal Pomorski, who is wearing the King of the Mountains jersey and looking really fresh and smooth on the bike.
So now out front, 74 kilometers remaining, and Michal Pomorski resplendent in the red jersey, leader of the King of the Mountains competition, also with those useful points gained at the Treasures of Türkiye. So 2 classifications that he's vying for today. Second day in the breakaway group for the 22-year-old Polish rider, and assembling out front 9 riders in total, combining 3 riders from the Konya team. Of course, Konya, it's a centre of excellence for world cycling these days, isn't it? It's got a beautiful new international class UCI velodrome, which has played host to UCI World Cup events, and Konya also with a road team that is doing battle and representing local interests here. Plenty of Turkish representation in this move. 3 riders from the Konya squad: Ali Egin, Mohamed Erkan, Mustafa Tarakci after his heroics in taking the early sprint. Tomasz Barta from the Istanbul team is the Czech rider in the yellow, just taking over at the front. And also up front, delighted to be there for the second day, Can Ozkalbim in that white jersey, just a little bit further up the order. Number 192 on screen at the back here is Arda Tekirdağ from the Muğla Büyükşehir squad. Meanwhile, in the front of the main peloton, usual suspects there as well.
Team Flanders Baloise leading it out along with Alpecin Premier Tech. So obviously Flanders Baloise trying to deliver Tom Krabbe to the line and get him a second stage win in a row, but he's lining up against the World Tour giants that are Alpecin Premier Tech.
Yeah, Alpecin Premier Tech second across the line yesterday. They have Simon de Heers, as you see, in that green jersey, wearing it on behalf of the overall race leader Tom Krabbe. Fine second place finish, but having taken stage success in last year's event, de Heers believes that he can go one better after yesterday's second place.
And he'd be lining that up with a victory which was on this very day last year.
Yeah, 12 months to the day from what was a breakthrough success for Simon de Heers, so he's looking to for further glory in Turkey. And Team Flanders Baloise happy enough to take him out at the front of the peloton as well. Each of those teams contributing a rider to the chase. Looks so unequal, doesn't it? 9 riders against 2, and yet somehow the odds are stacked in favour of the main peloton. They've plenty of reinforcements to call on. A maximum advantage for this group, not much more than 2 minutes, around about the 2.5 minutes mark at one stage. That's been pared back inside 2 minutes by that very attentive peloton. As I say, this is a traditional destination. Marmaris over the years, I think it's probably played host to something in the order of about 15 different finishes of the Presidential Cycling Tour of Turkey in the last 20 years. So it's certainly a popular destination. Some very big names have tasted glory as well, the likes of Mark Cavendish, Sam Bennett, Andre Greipel and others.
And these wide roads lend themselves so beautifully to this kind of racing. And I'm sure it's a refreshing change for some of the riders who've come from classic season in Belgium to have these wider roads ahead of them. And you can see that Flanders Baloise and Alpecin Premier Tech still have it out on the line, and all of the riders are finding their teams.
Through the local towns and villages, curious onlookers coming out from workplace, from home, from schools to absorb the colour and the spectacle and the noise, and the pageantry of big bike race peloton. Fluidity of their movements at 45 kilometers an hour plus. Tom Krabbe looking as cool, calm and collected as anyone can be at 25 degrees Celsius, cruising along in the main peloton, catching up with old friends or young friends even. Timo de Jong is finding good legs, stepping up to the big show, 27-year-old Dutchman. Tom Krabbe sharing a native language, the Flandrian. Feeling pretty good about things, no doubt, in that turquoise jersey. The second time this year that he's led an international stage race. 3 wins for the season. As you can see, that opening stage success in Étoile de Bessèges, presenting him with the overall race leadership. That's on his first day of racing earlier on this year. A stage win as well against exalted opposition, Vuelta Andalucía in Spain. And well, Tom Krabbe, just 20 years of age, is certainly a name to conjure with for the future, and indeed for the present, as riders in the breakaway keeping in touch with team members and trying to stay as cool, calm and collected and as motivated and as interested as they possibly can as well.
Yeah, and working really well together. I think this has been a harder break for the peloton to catch back than I think they anticipated. It's hovered around the 2-minute mark for quite a while now, but the riders up front are trying to, yeah, like you said, stay on top of hydrating, keeping cool with ice packs, and it's I wonder, will it be enough to stay away from Team Flanders, Baloise, Alps and Premier Tech, who are still pulling that peloton behind. They've got it out in a line nearly.
Yet, Team Flanders Baloise today happy enough to take up the chase and the pacemaking from behind. And as naturally befits the team of the overall race leader, and indeed the team that believes that they can produce a second success in a row. And I suspect the Alpecin Premier Tech squad will be grateful for that fact, given that they were bested after a long day of chasing for them on day one.
Absolutely, it could be a redemption day for the Alpecin Premier Tech squad. But I think Tom Crava is going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Of that there can be no doubt. The breakaway group approaching the 50 kilometres to go mark and starting to fracture on the challenging climb to the Treasures of Türkiye distribution of points. The only classified climb of the day. I tell you what, they could probably have classified a couple or three more at Cat 3 status. That proving to be challenging and just a little bit too far and too difficult for Ferit Khan Shamli. Local man distanced by the rest of the break, and the points gathered up by Michał Pomorski, leader of that climbing competition, doubles his total and extends his advantage. Shamli is cruising along behind and going to try and get back in. Will there be a complete re-knitting of that breakaway group? Well, from the 9 down to 3 up front, and trying to make his way back up, and making his way back up very successfully indeed. Shamli plunging to the front on the descent and off the front, approaching the intermediate sprint.
Yeah, and he's being chased down by Pomorski and his compatriots in that small breakaway. But actually, Shamli looks like he's going to be strong enough to take that sprint premi and take those points, which is a great showing for the Turkish rider and great publicity for his team as well.
Yeah, Sport Toto cycling team be delighted with this performance. Ferit Khan Shamli, 32 years of age, local man, knows these roads well, knows this finish, knows everything about this particular stage, I would venture to suggest. Also knows that it's important for him to represent in the break, and he's done that in successive editions of the Presidential Cycling Tour of Türkiye. And Shamli is toiling manfully to take what's a relatively minor bauble in world cycling, but nonetheless it's one Pomorski wants, because he's sort of hoovered up all of the intermediate classifications with voracious ambition over the last couple of days. But he's not going to get there in time to prevent Shamli from taking the bonus seconds, from taking the points, and indeed from taking the very useful money as well that's on the line there, that will go into the coffers of the Sport Toto cycling team. Pomorski across the line just ensures that Asandro van Petegem is not going to prevent him. Famous name that, of course. Peter van Petegem's son, Asandro van Petegem, is part of the Tartaletto Isarek squad, contesting for glory in the Presidential Cycling Tour of Türkiye this week, and he's in that breakaway group behind and into the closing stages of this event. Just 5 kilometers left, and
you can see the XCS Astana rider Lev gone off the front here. Gone off the front here in the peloton. Not really happy to let him go, so he could have taken a bit of a flyer, but unfortunately the peloton looked like they're closing in on him. He had a win at the Tour of Turkey last year.
Into Marmaris, into the same finish, and he wasn't a lightning. Well, can it strike twice, because they're well aware of the strength of the Astana rider, and they're pushing hard to get on terms into the final 5 kilometers. Indeed, 4K to go, with Modern Adventure Pro Cycling trying to winch their rider into prime position. Riley Pickerel gone off with a narrow advantage, but the Picnic Post NL squad as well, looking for that breakthrough success. Casper van Uden into position, and he's looking good for glory today. One other sprinters have managed to survive that climb within the closing stages. Three and a half to go, and the Picnic Post NL squad, Casper van Uden in prime position. Other teams starting to move up. The Alpecin Premier Tech squad in blue of their rider. Well, De Heers has struggled on the climb, so he's not available. Senta Senchins perhaps able to step up for them. Kipo Kern Pharma also in prime position. Mark Brustenga.
And Picnic Post NL are really leading it out off the front here. obviously putting everything in the basket for Casper Van Uden, and all of the teams behind her lining up as well. You can see Modern Adventure Pro Cycling getting their ducks in a row. So it's lining up to be a tense finish with a lot more. It's not as much of a reduced sprint as you would have thought.
Cofidis squad also in prime position. They've got Anielkowski, Stanislav Anielkowski, who knows this finish well. Tartaletto Izarex, no sign of Timothy Dupont, so one-on-one options they've got for the sprint today. The Astana squad as well. They have plans for Davide Ballerini. The Total Energy team, maybe they have Tess on to protect, but also they've got GC contenders led by Jordan Jagat. And now look on the left-hand side of your picture, right-hand side as we switch to the overhead. It is the overall race leader who's managed to survive the climb close to the finish, and he's put himself into prime position in the top 10. It's that blue jersey on the right-hand side of the picture, number 71, Tom Krabbe. Ballerini on the left, also huddling in that sky blue jersey for the Astana squad. For the Alpecin Premier Tech team, well, also available and gunning for glory, Sent Ascensions.
And Tom Krabbe coming out of nowhere, almost like yesterday where he just whipped into the finish. He's actually come out of nowhere now and come back from getting dropped on that downhill to be really in contention for this sprint. He's got about 2.5k left, and he's got some teammates around him, and he's got the Alpecin Premier Tech train also beside him, as well as Picnic Post NL. So a lot of different options here, a lot of teams lining up for this final sprint.
Team Pulte Vincent Malta also have their man Giovanni Leonardi. Knows this one. He's won into Marmaris a couple or 3 years ago. He's been several times in the top 10 at this finish. And those white jerseys, the red shorts, have a couple of riders in front of their leading sprinter. Less than 10 kilometers remaining. The final turn, it'll take them onto the seafront and onto the long straight run on the cobble lock. The bumpy run to the finish line with the Kepo Cairn Pharma in command at the very front, and this is a beautiful situation for Mark Brustenga. Can Brustenga deliver? He's been in fine sprinting form so far this year. The rider's taken to the smooth surface of the bike path on the right-hand side. But plunging up on the on the left-hand side, we see the Modern Adventure Pro Cycling team. Can they get Pickerel into a potential top 10? Tom Krabbe just behind the arrowhead, the overall race leader. In that overall race leader's jersey, Ballerini has a lead out as well available, and Casper Van Uden and the Team Picnic Post NL squad want to command the peloton all the way to the finish line from here. Approaching the kite, left-hand side of the road, the overall race leader huddling behind teammate from Team Flanders Baloise, that's Vera Gerards, as the Modern Adventure Pro Cycling team have that advantage. They lead the peloton. Can they lead it all the way to the line? 900 meters to go. It's a long way to the line from here. Tartaletto Izarex trying to move up. Riders going down in the middle. Kepo Cairn Pharma, also the rider from Tartaletto Izarex, I think, might have been implicated in that one. And we see the Alpecin Premier Tech team just trying to launch. Sent Ascensions is stepping up for them today. So it is the Alpecin Premier Tech that are going to lead them into the final 300 meters. Tom Krabbe elbowing himself onto the wheel of Davide Ballerini. Ballerini third in line, just behind Sentjens. Sentjens launches. Inside 200 to go. Here comes Tom Krabbe. Tom Krabbe up through the middle. Sentjens trying to hang on for Alpecin Premier Tech. And it's Krabbe that's going to get it. Tom Krabbe gets it 2 days in succession. Remarkable stuff for the 20-year-old Belgian as he delivers another sensational victory for Team Flanders Baloise. Gets the hand clap of celebration and congratulation from his rival Sanchez, who's not quite able to deliver. Second day in succession for the Alpecin Premier Tech, the squad that they've had to give best to Tom Krabbe and Team Flanders Baloise. Another Belgian one too. But it's Krabbe on top once again.
Yeah, and I think it shows the riders had to really think on their feet today. I think Alpecin Premier Tech had to readjust last minute when they didn't have Simon de Heer in the last 5k of the race, and I think that also Tom Krabbe had to really work with his teammates to get back after being dropped on the final short, sharp climb. About 7k from the finish, so they all worked together. It was definitely a team win and a team effort, and you can see it's really taking its toll on him here. He needs to take a little break, take a sit down and let it all sink in. What a couple of days the young Belgian rider has had, lining up against World Tour pros and taking 2 wins in a row.
He went deep for that, and he has delivered again. And it's Ferre Gerhardt that comes over to congratulate, to thank, to celebrate alongside Tom Krabbe. Delivers a 4th victory in what is very much a nascent professional racing career. Let's get a look as they work their way under the trees. Plenty of jostling for position. Looked like potentially one of the ATT riders that goes down, and Team Volti Visip Malta and keeper Karen Farmer, I think, implicated in that crash, but potentially one of the Bardiani riders. At any rate, they were left tumbling, left it up to a select group at the front, which included the likes of Fernando Gaviria. Lenardi made it in, but very much at the front. It was the Alpecin Premier Tech team in command. The lead out available for Senchens, but lurking in 4th place on the tail of Davide Ballerini. Great performance as well from the Burgaspor Pellet rider Cesar Matthias, as he takes the wheel of Tom Krabbe, but Tom Krabbe at this point just in time. Bike throw to the good, not quite as comfortable a success as 24 hours ago, but nonetheless it is 2 in a row, and across the bumpy cobble lock on the seafront in Marmaris, delivering in fine style. The overall race leader extending his advantage into day 3. Daniel Kowski picks up a Turkish flag on the run to the line. Nice top 10 for him. But it's Krabbe on the top step of the podium.
And lovely to see some family support here in Turkey for him, after what I'm sure has been a whirlwind 24 hours for him and his parents.
All good at the moment. Tom Krabbe leads him across the line at the conclusion of stage 2, ahead of Senchens. Another Belgian 1-2. Krabbe on top again. Cesar Matthias in 3rd place for the Burgaspor Pellet squad. Ballerini, Anielkowski and the rest. Well, Jeff Kenny in position to talk to our race.
Marmaris is a sprinter's paradise. Mark Cavendish has won here. Jasper Philipsen, Andre Greipel, Sam Bennett. But it's never an easy sprint to win because of the hill. Tell us about your sprint here.
Wow, it's just... I had so many thoughts during the final 5K because I got dropped right before the top at the final climb. And I just tried and the team helped me so much. They were incredible. And then I think at 3K to go, I managed to get back to the peloton. Then I didn't wait. I went in immediately to the front, and I was just so exhausted. I didn't realize how many Ks it was, and then I suddenly saw, you know, the finish line, and I got myself into, I think, top 5 position, and I just went full gas and managed to beat Sente right at the finish. Same thing as yesterday, I think, but it's crazy. It was a hard day for me.
Did you spot the Alpecin riders? Are the good wheels to follow?
Yeah, well, they were in the front today and yesterday as well. They have a strong team here who know how to sprint and do the sprint well. But I think we're able to manage them with our team as well. I think our guys did a great job today, and you know, it's incredible to do it for a 2nd time.
How does it feel to win with a leader jersey?
Well, it's special. I think it's extra pressure, but again, I just stopped myself and I told myself, don't put too much pressure on myself. And yeah, I think it worked out. I'm just here to have fun and do my job as best as I can. And you know, I think it could be better for the first 2 days. So yeah, we'll see what the next week brings.
Whatever happens next, your tour of Turkey is a success.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
Well, he's having fun and he's delivering success with extraordinary ease at the moment. Krabbe on the victor's podium. More air miles collected for himself and his family. Trips to Turkey, certainly memorable ones, and ones he'll want to repeat. Senchens and Matthias joining him on the top step. And jersey classification holders, well, nothing changing there. Pomorski adding to his total in the lead of the King of the Mountains classification. Also accumulating points out the road in the Treasures of Turkiye. Well, the best sprinter, no doubt about that. 2 victories in 2 days. The green jersey, while he won't wear it in tomorrow's stage as the overall race leader, he's copper fastening his control of the points classification. Fastest sprinter confirming his status after 2 days. It's a commanding advantage in the lead of that battle for the points. It's the one that'll count at the end of the week for Tom Krabbe. More opportunities coming after the stage 3, first of 2 general classification appointments for the riders.
Yeah, a rider with full confidence in his team, wisdom beyond his years.
And the overall race leadership as well, retained and extended, albeit it's a brief hold on this one. Stage 3 is for the GC contenders. It's the first of 2 summit finishes of the week as they make their way from Marmaris to Kieran. Overall race leader, 2 stage wins under his belt, Tom Krabbe. Feeling good about things in the Presidential Cycling Tour of Turkey.
Tom Krabbe from Belgium, Team Flanders Baloise, leader of the general classification journey.